My name is Matthew Sears, Mr. Sears. Today I'm going to model how to teach context clues for 5th grade reading and language arts. So today we're going to start with our text structures. We'll be looking at a story called The Celestials Railroad. We'll be using a selection from that today to look at what text structures are and how authors use them and why. So let's start with a little background knowledge check. Who here has heard of text structures before? And if you have, how would you describe them? How would you define them?
It's how the text is built.
It's how the text is built. I love that. That's good. Anyone else? I love that. Anyone want to add to that? Sanjay?
It's how the author organizes the story.
Good. How the author organizes the story, how the story is built. Very good. Fantastic. I love to see that. Absolutely. Based on just the image here and the story titled Celestials Railroad, what do we think we'll be reading about today?
A train.
A train. Very good. Let's raise our hand before we answer so everyone can participate. But I love the energy.
Building a railroad track.
Building a railroad track. Absolutely.
It's gonna be long ago.
Long ago. How do you know that? Long ago.
The picture.
The picture? It looks like a long
What they're
ago.
wearing.
Their hats.
Yeah.
The hats.
What they're
Yeah.
wearing. Old train. Very good.
They're all wearing suits.
They're all, and it's, yeah, probably very uncomfortable. All right. So let's get started with text structures. Just like y'all have already said, hey, text structures help authors organize their own thoughts, which helps clarify information for us. And the structures will help you understand what the author is saying, his purpose, why he's using this, what his goal is for writing. And there's going to be some clues that you can use to find these text structures. So if you would, I'll give you yours. Take one of these, pass them down. Make sure you have a pencil ready to go. We'll be putting these into your notebooks, interactive notebooks, when we are finished. All right. So take a look at the text structure anchor chart on your desk. We have 4 different structures we're going to look at today. We have compare and contrast, cause and effect, sequence, and problem solution. Has anyone heard of any of these before today? Thank you for raising your hand. I love that.
I heard a sequence. Put it in order.
You put them in order, in sequence. That is fantastic. Very good.
When we
Anyone?
read about the hurricane, we did cause and effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, so you made a connection to a prior text. I love that. Very good. House points for you. Very good. Fantastic. We made a connection back to cause and effect before. Okay? So let's start a compare and contrast. Let's look at our notes here. Okay? The purpose of cause and compare and contrast is to describe how things are alike and different. Okay? How things are alike and different. We're not going to focus on this one too much today, but if I was to tell you an orange and an apple, what might be a quick compare and contrast for an orange and an apple? What do you think?
They're both round.
They are both round, so that would be our same. Give me some differences.
One is orange.
One is orange, very good. What are apples most often? Do we think of apples? Which color?
Red.
Red, very good. Okay. Orange and red fruits, different flavors, different colors, same kind of shape, and they're both fruits.
They both come from a tree.
They do, thank you. They do both come from a tree. What's the
They both come from a tree.
I'll take care of that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please raise your hand. So, below the purpose, what do we see down there in purple? What do we see? We have transition words. Put your finger on transition words for me. These are your clues. As you read, you need to be looking for these transition words. They will help you determine what text structure the author is using. Okay, so as we read today, we'll be on the lookout for some of these. So check out compare and contrast. I don't know why I'm stuck on cause and effect today. Compare and contrast. But, both, however. Thinking back to our orange and apple example, both an apple and orange are a fruit. However, one is orange and one could be red. Okay, we have a compare and contrast language that would help us identify that's our text structure. Let's slide over to cause and effect, since that's where I want to be today, apparently. Cause and effect. Someone read the purpose for me. Put your finger on the purpose there for cause and effect. Someone read that for me. Thank you for raising your hand.
To explain what happened and why it happened.
Good. Explain what happened and why it happened. There's a cause. It caused something else to happen immediately. There's an immediate effect after. Okay, put your finger on those transition words. Because, so, in order to, as a result, and a whole bunch of others that aren't even on this list. Anything you see that happens that directly causes another thing to occur, you're looking at cause and effect. Okay? I push the marker, it rolls off the table. Okay? You talk in class, you distract your neighbor. Cause and effect.
Trying to see.
Do you have a question? I'd be happy to answer. No? That's okay. Thank you. All right, so we cause and effect. Now let's move down to sequence. We talked about this being in order. What's the example they give us on the paper there? What type of order do we have in our sequence? We have...
Chronological order.
Wow, that is a 5th grade word. I'm so excited you know that. House points, very good. Okay. So chronological. Let's look at our paper here. What do we see? First, next, and last. They go in order in sequence. Okay. And then chronological order means what, Ms. Tucker? What do we know?
It means they're in order from beginning to end.
And
First to last.
And if they're chronological, though, specifically, we're looking at
Dates.
Ooh.
time. Yes.
I know that.
Now we have learned dates and time. Okay, that will become important very much later. Okay, so to explain events in order, take a look at some of your transition words there. Put your finger on them for me. Okay. Before, first, next, then, last, after, all those good words. Or, and write this down with your pencil if you don't mind, dates. Put dates out there. If you like an example, you can put today's date, November 5th, 2025.
I want to put my birthday.
Absolutely, that sounds fantastic.
I want to put your birthday too.
You can do that too. We have one more to look at. What's our last one, Miss Grady?
Problem solution.
Problem and solution. Now this looks a little similar to cause and effect, right? We have arrows, okay? But what's missing from this one compared to cause and effect? What do we see on our diagram that's missing compared to cause and effect?
The arrow from one to the other.
Good. So cause and effect has a direct arrow. One happens, another thing immediately happens. Problem and solution might not be that simple. A problem can occur and it may take a long time to get to the solution. And just because you have a problem does not necessarily mean you will find a solution. The problem can sit by itself forever. Cause and effect, there must be an effect.
Is this like in a story when two characters have a conflict and then they solve the conflict and then at the end of the story there's a solution?
It absolutely could be. If they are starting to solve, if that was the goal of their story, it absolutely could be. Very good connection. House points for you. I love to see it. Okay, so problem and solution. My problem, I was too tired to go to school this morning. The solution tonight will be I will go to bed earlier. Okay, problem and solution, so I have enough rest. Put your finger on those transition words for me for problem solution. Let's take a look. The obvious one straight out of the box, problem and solution. And then we have the answer, the is, or I faced a difficulty, all those good choices. Okay? Now, as we read, we still need to annotate, right? We still need to take notes and take stock of what we have read. Do we want to write compare and contrast, cause and effect over and over and over again as we read? Do we have time to do that?
No, those are long.
Those are long. Okay? So with your pencils, if you don't mind, on those 4 squares, we're just going to put on compare and contrast. Off on the side of compare and contrast, you're going to write C/C. Compare and contrast. If you're more of a visual person, you want some pictures, draw yourself a little Venn diagram to remind yourself of the compare and contrast Venn diagram there. Whichever one makes you happy. Okay. Cause and effect. Another C. This time we have ourselves an arrow. Cause for C. Leads to an E for effect. Head down to sequence. Next to that one, you can write a bunch of different things for this one. If you just want to abbreviate, SEQ, you can do that. If you want to write 1, 2, 3, you can do that. Anything that keeps it in order in your head to know that this is sequence. Okay. And the last one, problem solution. We have a problem. Think about it in math terms. We'll put a little equal sign, solution.
That's cute.
Is there an arrow connecting those two?
No.
No, they do not necessarily always go together. Okay, just a little reminder for problem and solution. So we have those. You're going to keep those in your anchor chart for now. So just put them off to the side. We'll stick them in there, hamburger, fold them, and stick them in. All right. So we have our wonderful notes. Let's take a look at an example. Okay? Oh, why is text structure important? We want to connect two ideas together, and the author wants you to think critically. If we are not thinking as we read, we are wasting our time. Do we waste time in 5th grade?
No.
No, we do not.
We don't have time to
No, we do not. So we ask ourselves, when we see those transition words, we ask ourselves, which text structure is it? And more importantly, and this is the question you have to remember, it's on all your tests, what was the author's purpose for using this text structure? It's great to identify it, but in 5th grade, we have to know why they used it. Okay, so that's the question we're going to get to as we look through these. All right. So let's practice a little together here. Let's do a little bit together. Sequence. Using delicious Nutella and honey sandwiches. Pick any sandwich you like.
Meat and cheese sandwich.
Whatever you like. Okay? So look at your anchor chart under sequence. We're going to look for transition words. As we go through these, let's see if we can identify transition words that help us know that it is sequence. All right. First, you must gather all your ingredients. Second, place 2 slices of bread on a plate. Then, spread your Nutella on 1 slice of the bread. Next, spread your honey on the other slice of the bread. And finally, enjoy a bite of your fantastic sandwich, whatever sandwich you like to make in your head. Did anyone notice any of our transition words from your notes?
Yes.
What did you notice?
First.
First,
Then,
then,
Next.
next,
Second.
second,
finally.
finally. Cool. Very obvious, very easy, and this is what you're going to notice on sequence most of the time. Okay, the author wants you to know it's in sequence. She's not trying to hide anything from you. They want you to know it's sequence, but the answer is why? Why does it matter that these go in order?
Because I can't eat my sandwich before I make
Hold on just a
Oh.
moment, please, if you don't mind. Thank you very much.
Because if you started with spread your honey on the other side of the slice of the bread,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't get the bread out.
I didn't get the bread out.
So
What am I spreading on?
you're spreading on nothing.
Maybe your hand on the counter. I don't know. And so we add to that for us. I would love to hear your answer.
You can't eat your sandwich before you make it.
Right, you can't eat your sandwich before you make it. Very good. Okay? And if we don't have our bread, we can't spread it. What are we spreading it on? Maybe our plate. I don't know. Okay? But without the sequence, without the text structure, we don't know what we're making. We don't know what we're doing or the order it's in. And then we have our beautiful sandwich.
I love the visual.
Right? All right. So let's look at chronological order. Miss Tucker was so excited about this one earlier. I was glad to hear it. Let's look at chronological order. What do we notice about each of these sentences here? Miss Sanchez, what do we notice?
The dates.
The dates. Ms. Almendarez, they're in order here, but how do we know they're in order? What would we look for first?
I would look at the year
The year first, absolutely. Why?
because right away I saw 24
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw 25, 25, 26.
Good. So 24, 25, 25, 26, the numbers continue to get larger or smaller?
Larger.
Large. They get larger, so they are in order. What about when we have 2 years that are the same? What are we looking at next? Ms. Sanchez.
The month.
The month, absolutely. April and October. We know October comes after April, and it's in sequence. Why bother? Why is this important? Telling a story about what
Why
you
did
did this
the
year.
Author, what is that question you
Why
want us
did
to
the- why
ask
did the
us
author-
all the time?
Yeah. Why did the author put these dates in chronological order? Let's say someone has asked you to write a story about your year. Why does it matter if they're in order?
It might not make sense if everything is out of order.
Yeah, it might not make sense. Everything
It's
has
not
order.
gonna flow.
Yeah, it's not going to flow. If I talk about trick-or-treating first, and then go back and get Christmas from the year before, and then tell how awesome my New Year's Day is going to be next year, is the reader going to understand what we're doing, or is the reader going to be confused?
It'll be confusing.
Really confused, right? The reader's going to be confused. Sequence helps keep things in order for clarity. Okay? So keep-
Sometimes movies go back in time though and then into the future.
They-
and then back in
They
time.
absolutely do. Those are called flashbacks, and we will happily get to that at a different class. But that is a wonderful connection. House points for Rispetto.
5, 3, 2, 1.
6. All right.
Final answer.
All right. So let's practice a little bit with our sequence here. Let's practice our text structures. We will need your selection from your My Books. There is yours. Take one, pass it down. I will need one as well, please. Thank you. Take one, pass them down. We need our My Books. That is what you'll need, your My Book selection and your pencil. That is all you need. And who is reading today? I will be, and volunteers will be as well. So if you would like to read, be prepared for that.
Can't wait.
Right? Remember, we're the detective looking for clues. You're going to use your anchor chart that you have on your desk. Don't put that away. You're going to use your anchor chart. Put your finger on those transition words, any one of them that you see. Okay. On your anchor chart there, we're looking for those transition words that will help you know which text structure it is. Remember to annotate.
I see.
If you see a clue or a transition word, go ahead and annotate. So let's read the story real quick. We'll start with paragraph 5, then I'll have a volunteer read.
Then in 1863, Central Pacific and Union Pacific Railroad tycoons agreed to build a coast-to-coast link. The Union Pacific would head west from Omaha, Nebraska,
very good.
while the Central Pacific would extend east from Sacramento, California. The two companies mapped the routes, raised the money, and hired the workers.
Very good. Did we notice a transition or word in there or a clue that might tell us what this might be? It might be. I saw some hands go up and down. We sure? All right. See, what did you find?
I see a transition word and a date, then in 1863.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so two together, right? Okay, so right up top, first line of paragraph 5, circle the word then or underline it, and 1863. Now, we're going to be looking at the whole page, but is that a pretty good clue of what we might be looking for? Absolutely. Okay, number 6. Within a year, the Union Pacific was well into Nebraska, but the Central Pacific had bogged down at the edge of the Sierra Nevada mountains. In California, most men were busy searching for gold or silver. To complete his contract, railroad magnate Charles Crocker needed help. Over the protest of his workers, Crocker turned to the Chinese. Let's see. Did we find transition words, clues?
I see a comp.
Within a year.
Within a year. Very good. Within a year, absolutely.
It's a time.
So that means it's like the same year?
Almost
or
the
a
same year.
later?
Almost the same year. So it may be 1863 or it could be sometime in 1860.
Mr. Sears, I saw the comma, but I didn't know if within a year it wasn't on the list.
Yeah, you're right. It's not on the list.
It's like on SpongeBob when they say 1 year later.
Okay.
There, I love that connection. Absolutely. So it does not say an actual date, but it does say the word year, right? And that does connect back to our chronological things in time. Sometimes we have to use our vocabulary as well as numbers, as the author doesn't want us to be bored looking at dates all the time. Who would like to read paragraph 7 for
That was
me?
my birthday month.
All right. Fantastic.
In February 1865, 50 Chinese men were transported by flat car to the rail's end in the Sierra foothills. While other workers jeered and threatened to strike, the Chinese calmly set up camp, boiled rice provided by the company, and went to sleep. Up at dawn with picks and shovels in hand, they worked 12 hours straight without complaint. By sundown, Crocker had telegraphed his office in Sacramento, "Send more Chinese." Within a few months, 3,000 Chinese were pushing the Central Pacific eastward. By the end of 1865, more than 6,000 Chinese were working on the railroad.
Fantastic. Looking around, I see many people have highlighted some clue words already. Who would like to share what they have found? Who would like to share? Ms. Sanchez.
In February 1865.
Very good. In February 1865. Fantastic. There's another one tucked way deep in that paragraph. What do you think?
Within a few months, and then also by the end of 1860.
Very good. Within a few months.
You were supposed to do 2 at once.
Oh, it's okay.
I
She
made a
shared out.
timeline.
You made a timeline?
I made a timeline.
All right, Waterfall, Waterfall. Let's see Ms. Amadara's timeline.
Because it says
I would love to see your timeline. Let's see. There it is.
February 1865,
Mhm.
end of 1865, and then within a few months, like Jennifer said. It's in the
Fantastic.
middle.
More house points for Rispetto. And
Then.
2.
it's important to make that connection because do we read books with timeline in them, especially in social studies? Yes, absolutely. You'll read them in social studies all the time. Okay, and that's obviously going to be a chronological text structure. So, with all of that in mind, with all of those clues we have found, on the back of your paper, flip your paper over for me. On the back of your paper, using your best SCR question structure, okay, you're going to write the answer to these two questions here. Which text structure did the author use on this page? The second question, what was the author's purpose for using that text structure? You must use complete sentences. If you have any questions or you need me to reread anything, I will be happy to do that.
Can we have sentence stems or not?
Absolutely. What's a good way to make a sentence stem out of these questions? What's one way we can do that? We've done it before.
You restate the question.
Restate the question. So let's practice on number one real quick.
Okay.
The author used which text structure on this page? The author used which text structure?
What do I say the text structure used by the author was?
That is a wonderful fifth grade sentence
Thank you.
The author used blank text structure on the page.
on this page.
Sequence.
One more minute.
What's a link, Mr. Sears?
What is a link?
Yeah. Like where it says, then in 1863, Central Pacific and Union Pacific Railroad tycoons agreed to build a coast-to-coast link.
Oh, a coast-to-coast link. Have you seen a chain before?
Yeah.
Yeah. The little parts of the chain that hold together are called links. So when they put the railroad together, they're going to connect it, link it together.
So railroads have chains.
They don't have chains, but they're linked up with the metal parts, just like a chain is. It's just another word for a connection. Good job, Sinan. All right. So which text structure did we come up with here? Which text structure do we notice?
The author used the sequencing text structure on this page.
I love it. Very good. Who agrees? Agrees? I love to see it. Okay. With your tables, people nearby, turn and talk with me for the second question. Turn and talk with your neighbors there. What was the author's purpose for using this question? 30 seconds. Turn and talk.
The purpose I said how it showed how
Okay.
long it took the
You read yours
railroad
first.
to be
The
built, and
author's
I
purpose
changed
for
it to
using
see
this text
to show
structure
how quickly
was
the
to
Chinese could
inform
build.
us. I didn't finish reading.
But I don't know.
To inform us.
The purpose for the author using the text structure was to tell the reader how the railroad
I
did
built
something
a
different. I
coast
said the
to
author's
coast
purpose
link.
for using the sequencing text structure was to inform the reader how long it took to build the Central Pacific Railroad.
Because I feel like
I don't think
they
mine's
want to
right,
say how
though.
long, but then they're also
People can
adding
have different answers.
the Chinese
to
are
inform
important there
us.
because they
I
were
think
able to
it
knock
was
it
to
out.
inform us
On
Because
the
I was thinking about
railroads
this and
and how they built
Oh, I didn't put that.
We can connect
I didn't
homes.
think about that.
They
didn't have time. They didn't have time to build a railroad.
Purpose
Yeah,
for
they
using
didn't
this
have
structure was to inform us, which was I was gonna add
I
on
like
to it.
that.
Send more about.
10 seconds.
Get this done.
Very much so.
All right. Eyes on me? All right. So what do we come up with in our groups? Who would like to share for other part? You can share your own answer, or you may share the answer of a friend if you like their answer better. What would you say?
Our group kind of said it.
Okay.
The author's purpose for using sequence text structure was to show like how long it took to build. Or we also kind of had a second one about how it also showed how quickly the Chinese could build it.
Okay. Oh yeah. How long? Very good.
What did
What
you
is that?
guys say?
Second group.
So- So I wrote this, but I didn't feel like it was right. So
That's okay.
I like to listen to Katie what she said
Mhm.
because I feel like I want to add to mine. So the
What did you
purpose
say?
for the author using the text structure was to tell the reader how the railroads build a coast-to-coast link.
Mhm.
But I think I want to change it to the purpose for the author using the text structure was to tell the reader how long it took them to build a coast-to-coast link.
Very good. Fantastic. Your first answer was a great connection to the text. That was the purpose of them building the railroads, right? But as we continued, yes, how long it took them to actually make that link. So I love that you were brave to answer, and you were also brave enough to say, I would like to change it, right?
Points for Respeto.
Points for Respeto, and points for
well.
Miss Huey because she, in this group, provided some helpful answers as well for the
10.
team. There you go. So, 10 for bravery and 7 for being awesome. All right. I'm not biased at all.
I would say.
All right. All right. So with that in mind, and what we do next, we move to an independent worksheet and let you practice this on your own and find text structure in that as well.
So let's name some things that we saw that we really liked that he did that you would want to mimic back in your classroom.
Okay, well, I really liked when we were on the anchor chart and when he got to the part where we would be annotating, they had either a symbol they could draw, you had to turn and that's the text structure, or they can use like the little initials with it. And I really like that because we've kind of done text structure, but I haven't thought about that. So that's something that I could add.
Okay. I like that a lot.
But like, even though they've heard text structure, that was a good refresher. Yeah.
And even an adult, I was going back and looking at those transition words and pointing out those transition words when you're doing it's going to be extremely helpful.
I know you and I have been working on you creating, this goes in their journal, right?
Yes.
And I know we've been working on you create the anchor charts. Did you already do one for text structure?
Yes, so we have this anchor chart and they like to refer back to it, but I would like to go back and add the symbols.
There you go. So now I can bring it out and then add the symbols that you, okay. I don't know if we added, you already added like the transition words of vocabulary that he pointed out in it. Yes. Do you have that?
We have it
yours?
on there,
Yeah, yes, you do have that in there. Okay.
In English and Spanish.
So we only have it in English, so I would like to do it in Spanish as well.
Would you do it on the same anchor chart in a different color or that you
So I guess
That's
that's,
a lot.
so we would just, well,
It's a busy anchor.
we would have to think about what your schedule, and that's what I was trying to look up. What are you teaching on Monday and Tuesday? So it can be on the Spanish day, so you can go and write it in the red. That way we can, because if you only have it in English, let's go back on one of your Spanish days.
Okay.
What is the text that day? And we can plan that on Friday whenever me and you coach and plan. But how can we use it on Monday and Tuesday, modify the lesson plan so we can make that connection? Because I already have it in English. How do we address it on Monday? Because I don't know if I don't think Eduporia says we're doing that on Monday and Tuesday on our,
For next.
actually, I don't know. Yes.
Also like that I liked that you had them, you were specific on what they needed out. So they knew they needed what they needed, what they didn't need.
I'll be honest, that's relatively new in my repertoire. I feel kind of embarrassed about it, but I hadn't thought about it. I'm just like, I've just been starting using it now to really,
Are you finding?
instead of them digging through their pencil pouch to get what they need, it's helped me. So I just,
with our girls.
Keep my little warm, but yeah.
With our girls.
Yeah, there's just 2 things, that's it. Everything else in your bag. So.
And then this just goes back because this is something we've been working on all PLCs, affirming and corrective feedback, right? Addressing that, and I know I sounded like a brat, but I was trying to remind us of affirming and corrective feedback.
You did a good job.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I like that you you weren't like, oh no, that was the worst answer. You were way off, but you found a way to make her feel good about answering a question, but also swerving back to, yes, that might be true, but we're here to focus on sequence, and I like that approach.
And then like with yours too, like when I ask the question, because I mean, bilingual kids do that, you know, when they're reading and they're calling out Miss, you know, what does this mean? What does that mean? You know, because vocabulary, right? So
When you do go like, what does link mean? How to approach it? Do you have a way to approach it yet?
Not yet. You know,
That's
I mean, I will have students ask me what certain words mean, but also sometimes if they're the words in the book, like if they're highlighted, we can always reference back to on the bottom in the little small words. We have the definitions available if we're not sure what the word might be.
Perfect.
And sometimes you just answer.
like he told me, you know, but like, you know, sometimes like as you're walking around, part of your monitoring, you know, it's like, what are they writing? You know, they might have those questions for you. How would you address those vocab? Because link, it means different things, you know, so.
And create yourself, if you like, create yourself some little filler sentences to start that connection with. So when they give you an answer that's off topic or maybe not helpful, well, I appreciate you answering. You're saying it rote, you know it, and if you mean it, it's true because you are happy they're answering, but it also gives your brain a chance to reset because that potentially just derailed your whole thought process. And you got to kind of give your brain a second to, without losing the class. So
Something that you don't have to think about, because
yeah.
it might catch you off guard, like, what?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means at all. Why are we asking that?
But I like that if I already have that in the back of my brain, I'm going to say that when they say something off topic or off the wall. It gives me my brain a second to really focus back.
Yeah, because on Monday and Tuesday, we're doing clarify and verify, and then I main idea. Just see, you don't do it until Thursday. So let's plan on Friday to see what me and you are going to do on those Monday and Tuesday and bring up the chart.
And they have a no-ready diagnostic next week on Friday, so or late in the week. So just plan around whatever day is best for you.
Okay.
So plan for that because we haven't tested enough yet.
Any other gaps you might have seen that you want
Yeah, please.
to talk about? No, like, because you've taught this before because you have an anchor chart. Anything else you might have, you noticed him doing that you're like, oh, I didn't forget, or I forgot, or I want to add?
I guess going back to the transition words, I guess talking a little bit more about those and how we might see them and having them look for them in the text, because I feel like some students are able to do it on their own, but some students might not either yet and still need that support.
Okay. And that could be something we notice, like when you're giving them time to read and you're walking around monitoring. That's one of the things that can be sitting up on.
I have a question. When you is this the first time you've taught all of this, or was it you've already taught
This year?
this?
No, this is like the third time
Okay.
we've
Okay.
out, but yeah.
Because I was gonna say it would be like going back to the transitioning words. It would be helpful to maybe like, did you like provide examples of what it would look like in a text? Just like throwing up like a few sentences that would have like what a compare and contrast,
Like,
and it has, and you have the word highlighted possibly.
That'd be good.
The way that kids can visually like see it in a text.
Make them
But-
yeah.
But that's something that you would do like when you're first, or I'm
You can still pick it up now because when you put the anchor chart, just do it. Yeah, just do it on the back side of that anchor chart and have them make the 4 squares again and just write the sentence examples.
yeah.
we can write it on the sentence stem and then tape it to your one on sentence strips. That's what I'm thinking.
Because
I want
sometimes
to get little crazy since they've already seen these. You can have them create, even if it's just verbally.
And then especially when you're doing like the compare and contrast, because you have the word but in there and both, they're gonna start highlighting that word all in the text.
Yeah.
And so it's, can they recognize a compare and contrast sequence and a just the word but
Contrast or just an just opposition. Yeah.
So
sequence would be the easiest one.
yeah, definitely.
I've got it in the story.
The carbon effect is hard.
Jeez.
Fabulous jump team.
Thank you.
Yay.
Good job.